I convene the June 4th, 2025 Physical Planning Committee meeting to order at 7 p.m. Jackie, would you please call the roll?
Josh Martin.
Here.
Emily Swissberg.
Here.
Vanessa Berry.
Here.
Karen Larson. Absent. Tatiana Weinstein.
Here.
Will Savage.
Here. Excellent. Agenda item 2, opportunity for visitors to speak, public comment, or the public to address the board. Each person will have 5 minutes. Seeing none, we'll move to agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 3 is to approve the minutes of the November 6, 2024 Physical Plan Committee meeting. May I have a motion and a second?
I move to approve the minutes of the November 6, 2024 Physical Plant Committee meeting.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
Nope.
Nope.
Fantastic. Jackie, roll call.
Josh Martin.
Aye.
Emily Swissberg.
Aye.
Vanessa Berry.
Aye.
All right, moving right along. Agenda item number 4, Kingston Lot Planning Recommendations. Mark and Sarah, would you please update the committee with your findings?
Sure, so I'm just gonna give a quick recap of where we're at, and then Sarah will get a recap of where you could potentially go. So back in August, September of last year, we did that 10-year capital improvement planning stage. It was a draft, just trying to look and put numbers together, different items that you needed to cover. As part of that, we looked at the vacant lot and some options to improve that vacant lot. The numbers we had put in that draft report were somewhere to the tune of, without a bridge, somewhere in the, I think it was $400,000 to $500,000, and with a bridge, it was somewhere to, $900,000 to $1 million plus contingencies. Still have that. Since then, our understanding is you guys went and did a community engagement piece where you had a survey come back. Those survey results gave a little bit of an indication of where you would want to go as a library in terms of improving that lot. It might not be as much program space as maybe what we were going back and forth with, but we wanted to do something with it. So when the library reached out to us about, okay, what are next steps, to get information, realistic information, and really start the process, what we figured you always do is you go through a project definition phase. That project definition phase is very akin to what we did for the renovation project, where you look at different options as you go through. Mm-hmm. You would remember this well. What we did is we reached out to 5 firms, and this is where Cheryl will kick in, but reached out to 5 firms to get a proposal for an initial engagement. And it's just engineering firms, yes, not architecture, because you're looking at moving land. Right. It's just to get that initial project definition piece rolling. So from there, we'll take it.
Yeah, so as Mark said, we issued it to 5 firms and we received 4 proposals. And that's what you'll see listed in this table, this first table here. The 2 highlighted in orange are our recommendations, and the 2 in white are the ones that we are not recommending. But I'll give like a brief description of the 4 that we received. So going with EVA, they are the first column in white there. And their proposal was very engineer heavy, and also their team was very subbed out to different teams. So it would have been a very large team as a part of that, and less heavy on the design side. And then site design is the next one over in white, and their team was very design heavy. They didn't have any engineers present on their proposal for the concept phase. So that's predominantly why we're not referring those 2, although they are also the most expensive in cost. And the 2 that we are recommending are Erickson and Terra. Their proposals were very well balanced between design and engineering. They present the same level of deliverables, being a conceptual design, a rough order of magnitude estimate at the end. So looking down here at the small table in the middle, we kind of put together the decisions that will need to be made to move forward. First decision would be, selection of a team. Terra comes at the lower cost, total cost at $16,000. So that is a benefit that they provide. And Erickson was the team that worked on the Lisle project previously. So there'd be a benefit there, being more familiar with the area. So that's like decision number 1. Decision number 2 would be if we move forward with the surveying piece at this time, or if we just move forward with concept. You can see that the design fee for Terra is $6,300 and Erickson is $17,000. A benefit, I guess, we could use an already available survey to kind of kickstart the project and get it started. The benefit of that, it could move faster, less obvious, cost up front. The benefit of doing the survey in the front end would be that you have more detailed drawings and be able to get more specific estimate out of the end of it.
And you don't know this because I pulled this out of my old files from September. This is what they'd essentially use. It's the GIS information that's available on the county website. So when we're talking survey, it's what topos are we using, and it's basically taking a rough shot instead of actual surveyed data points. So that's what we're talking about, the difference. So it's 2 points, and I think where we're leaving it today is wanting to talk about it, the pros and cons of the firms, and then from that also the pros and cons for the district to decide whether we need to spend the money up front for the surveying or not. If you're definitely going to improve the lot, you're going to need the survey anyways. So it makes sense. But if you have still that inclination of how you're wanting to move forward, you can spend less and then pull that trigger later. It's just how certain you want to be on those cost estimates as we go through this process.
Do you have any concerns about Terra considering their design fee is so much lower, or is that just the way that they've broken down their cost structure?
And you've talked to them, I'll let you speak. I can give my answer, but I'll hear what you have to say
Yeah,
first.
so I spoke with both Tara and Erickson, and their deliverables are very comparable. So I'm a little surprised that their number is as low as it is. They seem very capable, and their references that they submitted were very, very good. And some of the examples that we included in the secondary attachment, they're page
3 and
4.
4.
So they have very, very comparable projects. I'm familiar with the area.
We've actually worked with, I'm working with them right now. They're doing a park, an all-inclusive park in Cicero for the town. It's gone well. They've been really reactive to the client, which has been good. And I don't know if they're pricing this to try to basically get in with the project. And they know that all these firms know it's an initial engagement, right? Now, it doesn't guarantee them, even if we do go forward with the project after they go through this, that they get the project, but they're probably getting their foot in the door. And they know they're competing against a firm, potentially, and they don't know who they're competing against, but I would assume they know who did the renovation before, and they're trying to make sure they get in. That's just my guess.
I like that price.
Do they have any other local projects that in this area they've either completed or are working on? Cicero, it's fairly close.
I have to look back. They listed several projects with their team.
They're one of the larger firms, not larger, they're a decent sized firm in the area, let's put it that way. They work directly for municipalities on a lot of different projects. We don't always see them on team projects on libraries and things like that, but
It looks like they completed the Prairie Walk Pond and Dragonfly Landing.
Oh,
Okay. Can you talk,
there we go.
can you talk about like what they would actually do for us? Like we hired XYZ firm, what are we expecting of them?
Yeah, so they'll come out and do an initial site walkthrough and meet with the team to discuss what we're looking for in addition to what we have already listed in the request for qualification. And then they'll produce 2 concept design options, talk about which direction we want to go, and then they'll finesse the final option and produce a rough order of magnitude estimate at the end.
Okay.
And that's the entirety of their fee is that effort.
Mm-hmm. And they have it listed as approximately 10 to 12 weeks. I think it depends if the survey is included or not, because that'll take a few weeks there.
Why do some of them include the estimated reimbursables and others don't, like Terra did and Erickson did?
Yeah, I'm not sure why they formatted it that way. It's to be needed,
Right.
so.
what we typically do is we'll tell them before you go and expend that money, you need to get it approved by the library. And that could be large format printing. Some firms are used to, and I would
Like
expect
3D printing or something.
3D, and I know for the park project, it was a very visible public project in Cicero, and so they had to print a bunch of boards and things like this. Remember when, at the time, Gene Neal Hart tried to do the boards in the back?
Yeah,
That type of printing, I would think that they would ask for as a reimbursable.
maybe Erickson just built it into their design costs.
And one thing I don't know if I mentioned, but Terra was the firm that they have all of these services in-house: civil engineering, landscape design, MEP, engineering and surveying, which I think is
Wow.
an opportunity for them to be
That's
more
Yeah.
economical.
That does make sense.
So So I think either way works. Ericsson's a really good firm. They did a good job on the renovation project here. I've seen them in other projects. They've always been responsive, always been, very professional. So I don't think you can go wrong. It's just a matter of, do we want to look at the firm that maybe is familiar with the property? Which you met him a few times during the process, but it's not like you're really working hand in hand with the civil engineer in a
Right.
renovation project, right?
Yeah.
So he's familiar with it, but it's not like you've really gone through a whole process with him.
With Erickson, when we used them, weren't they mostly for the stormwater stuff that
Yes.
we worked with? Yeah, so.
So now Erickson did the like the building renovations. Does Terra also do like building renovation stuff, or do they specialize more in like outdoor areas?
That's a good
Erickson didn't do
question.
the building renovation.
I don't know.
He did the stormwater,
But they were on the team for Nigel Hartray.
for what?
Nigel Hartray.
They were on.
Yeah, they were a sub-consultant to
But
it.
did they just do our like parking lot, like sewer stuff?
Yeah, it was very limited. You didn't really have to engage with them much because it was all through Amy at the time
Right.
was managing them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was your question?
No, I was just asking if either one of them specialize in like outdoor playground or like library spaces.
Spaces, yeah.
In terms of outdoor playground, I would say yes for both of them. And I can specifically personally speak for Terra because that is what they did for Cicero.
Mhm.
Erickson, I don't know that I've worked on a direct project without a building component for it. But I know, and you can speak to their resume listings. I think this is kind of they do it for parks as well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I was perusing their website, it looks like they have a lot of, this type of work
Mm-hmm.
included.
So no matter which, if we go with one or the other, or this committee recommends one or the other, and then we engage and they present a package for developing plans, then do we go out to bid for the whole shebang?
You can, at that point, they are a existing professional service provider to the library. You can choose to continue going on with them and negotiate a proposal directly with them.
Okay.
Or you can choose to say, I'd like to get competitive pricing, and you go out for that.
But we also have to make a decision first about whether we want the design exclusively, that first line item, or we just move forward with everything, because like you said, we'll need the surveying anyways, and there's really not that much difference if you're going in for 17,000 with Erickson, you might as well go in for 16 with Terra. So I think that's really the real question is, do we want to recommend moving forward with either of those to the whole board and say it's worthwhile to evaluate this, and then 12 weeks would be then from how long would it take to get them engaged if the whole board, if we decide to move forward with this?
I would think the next day we call them
Oh,
up.
okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
There's no other
Yeah.
execution or timing, or they're fully available right now, there's
Right.
no other schedule conflicts they made us aware of.
the only other thing that I could think would take quote unquote time would be any legal agreement between the professional services agreement between the library and them. For this type of engagement, we're not doing bid drawings, we're not doing anything. I don't feel that you need to go through the expense of having us or anyone else produce a full AIA contract or anything like that. I would think that you do a limited engagement for this off of a signed proposal that they could issue and go. And then if it turns into a project where they are doing construction documentation, then you do a larger contract.
And it's entirely possible with some of the structures that they might need to pursue that, do you think, depending on what they propose?
Right, especially if you're doing some sort of bridge or whatever else, they might
Yeah.
then need to bring in some other consultants, and then it's really important that we have all those contractual agreements buttoned up.
Right.
Okay.
So if this went to the recommendation for the full board on the 18th, then you're saying the 19th you'd be able to
Yeah.
contact.
Connect.
Does anyone have any thoughts or objections of bringing this to the full board for a recommendation?
I'm comfortable with it,
Okay.
Which one?
with Terra, which is the lower cost one.
Yeah.
I agree as well.
Me too.
I like the breakdown of their proposal more too. It feels
Mm-hmm.
logical. Erickson seems reasonable, but it also feels like they're front loading some of the design, maybe anticipating we wouldn't do surveying up front or something like that, trying to guess what we're gonna do, and I don't particularly like that, so. And even with the reimbursables and everything else, I think do you happen to know who they worked with, or can you find out on the Prairie Walk Pond?
Yeah, I
I
think
wonder
it
if that
was,
was the village manager, is it the park district? Who
I think
actually
that's
owns
It's the village.
That is the
It's
village.
the village
Okay.
snack park.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, so that would have been, how long ago? That was such a long time ago
It was a
though.
while ago.
That must have been 10
10
years ago. I wanna
years.
say that was
Ish.
roughly when
Yeah.
we moved into Lisle, those 12 years, so
Yeah.
somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Yes. It's been at least 6, cause it was there before I moved from north to south, so.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
would
it's been
just
there.
be curious, that would be something, I think we can make a recommendation, but it would also be helpful, are either of you available for the 18th?
Yes, I'll be there for sure.
Consented in advance?
I haven't volunteered Sarah for that yet, but yeah, I'll be there.
I think it'd be helpful
Thanks, Mark.
to find out who did do that, it's just another piece of information that
Mhm.
helps to justify it.
We'll try to find out this week, give that over to Tatiana, and then that way, if you guys want to even check amongst your own, groups that you know.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So the takeaway on that one is, we will make a recommendation to the full board on the 18th that we recommend moving forward with Tara to provide, well, it's actually to engage them for design surveying and the rest of their quote package.
Actually, I'm just catching one thing too, so you guys know, the Prairie Walk Pond project actually was, their lead person, senior architect, was on that project, but at a different firm. So he's got experience in Lisle, but he's also the lead for the project, so,
So,
Oh.
so
Which
the
the
lead architect
lead-
at Tara,
landscape architect.
sure,
Yeah, at Terra, did the Prairie Walk and Lisle canoe launch
oh,
at a previous firm.
Oh.
I don't
So
know,
the canoe launch is the park district.
yeah,
Yeah.
so actually
brand
both.
new.
So, but it's weird because
You might have-
this person, Kevin Graham,
Okay.
I know was on the Cicero Park project because, and they have 2 people listed. The next person, if she flips it, is Craig Most, who's the lead project manager for Terra on the Cicero Park project.
Okay.
They were both involved in the design phase, which happened over a year ago. So he can't be that new. I mean, he's new, but not, yeah,
You mean new to Terra?
right,
he's been with Tara for 8 years, it says.
right.
Well,
So
that's
there's
good that he knows
there's
our
a older
community.
canoe launch. You
Yeah.
might not have done the
Right.
The new
new
one,
one.
the new
Is there an
one.
older one?
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a newer
I
one.
knew the new one, but I didn't know the old one, okay. Yeah, I'm with you.
But it's nice that
Yes, the
they
answer is
understand
yes.
our
The
community.
community.
I like
Yeah.
that very
Alright.
much.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Excellent, so that is what we'll do, we'll make that recommendation on the 18th. Alright, any other discussion on this topic? No, okay, perfect.
So then,
Yeah.
just before you want, so then, is there anything else that you need to share with us?
Any questions, I guess, on whether it be anything else building or renovation wise, because feel free to shoot.
I just haven't seen you in a while, Mark.
I know, it's been
So, like, is there anything else that
Questions you want to answer?
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, and other than that, I know that we're still trying to work, the IBS is still trying to work to close out the communications issues with the building automation system. They haven't abandoned anything to get it done, but they're still working through that issue, troubleshooting, I guess I'll call it at this point in time. I'm not aware of any major hiccups or issues with the HVAC side of things, I don't know if
No. One source has been in the last 2 days and should have the 2 I'm trying to think. Have the unit that was outstanding totally hooked up by the end of the week. And then we still need to schedule the pick
Right.
for
those two.
the last 2. But
And that was, they were patiently waiting for IBS, quite frankly, to finish up everything else because we did not want to put the library at risk of not having cooling as you have 90-degree days. So there's that piece. The other one would be Pentegra and making sure that that gets buttoned up with,
I don't think they're even aware of
okay, yeah.
It's this like small, there's the key cards that we use, it's a company that we're being charged an invoice fee for, which shouldn't be being charged, so Mark is handling that conversation.
Cool,
But
thanks.
everything else, anything else, yeah. I'm
No, it's just like we haven't seen you, so
Oh, man. I'm gonna come by more often, yeah.
we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll be here.
There you go.
No, that's fine.
Thank you for all this work and
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
welcome Sarah.
Yep.
on board.
Yes.
Yep. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks for
All right.
coming.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice meeting you, Sarah.
All right. Moving on, agenda item 5, discussing the masonry restoration recommendations. Tiana and Will,
Oh, yes, well,
you collectively provide an update.
well, in the packet, there is a proposal, quotes for either a repair that is needed or a complete, what would you call it, replacement, right?
Yeah.
And we actually connected with Mark on this too, and there is no need to do a complete replacement, but we wanted to know what those costs would be, so we asked for both. And so right now, I think Will and I are very comfortable with just the repair, and then down the line, and Mark also agreed with this, like when and if we need to replace the roof years down the line, that is when we would approach a complete cap replacement for the masonry. Cause right now, it's not like in dire need, but there are repairs that need to be made. And when we did go through the renovation in 2023, what we did with the stonework and the masonry, we cleaned it completely, we did some patchwork, but underneath that cap, it's just, I don't know, what did they say? That there were just some cracks that
basically,
formed
yeah.
and-
Mortar has loosened that needs to be tuck pointed, and that the reason we noticed is because some water had been leaking in, and so since it was just getting to the end of the capstone and just sliding right under.
Yeah, it's
So
like capillary action through those little cracks.
Yeah.
And, you know, even though we had tuck pointing down around the building, I mean, that was one area that just didn't get either addressed fully or it began to crack after the renovation. So it's really just repair work on the upper level.
Is it exclusively on this upper level?
yeah, so it's that line right there that's circled
Okay.
is the spot that needs to be addressed.
Okay, good. I was only concerned because they excluded any sort of restoration if there was equipment damage, but if they're not gonna be using a lift or they're gonna be in the landscaping or anything like that, then it won't matter.
No,
Okay, they'll just
I believe that to do what we're gonna be asking them to do, they will just have to, they can ladder up from over by the pergola area, so they should be good.
Alright, excellent.
So that's the plan, unless this committee really wants to do the full-on replacement, which is not recommended by Mark nor Will or myself.
No,
No, I think,
Okay.
Okay.
I
think it's good to wait.
I'm in
It's
agreement.
good to know what that will
Yes.
cost
Right,
us,
right.
in this year, but, yeah. Okay.
Especially given that it's mostly, and they are fairly confident we'll address those ingress issues. Like there's no.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
They did that the other thing too, wouldn't make sense to tuck point, we still might have the potential to continue to have water ingress. Okay,
Yeah, 'cause sorry.
great, so no further action there, we'll make that a recommendation to the full board on the 18th.
We don't
Or
need,
we move forward,
we
it's
can
slow
just move
enough.
forward, it's a, $5,000 charge.
Got it,
Just
yeah.
move forward as long as the committee's comfortable just moving with the repair.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
yes, let's move forward with the repair, excellent. Alright. Agenda item 6 is the discussion of UV window film facility needs. Will, would you provide an update on that?
Yeah, so we did the 5 windows that are north facing up by the nonfiction. Right now it's their book bags, the book kits. And we are now looking at the ones on the south side as Adult Services has put some larger books that are on display right in front of those windows. Bought some new little stands. It looks fantastic. But in order to protect those materials, we're looking at putting UV film on those windows as well. There are twice as many windows over on the north side as there are on the south side. However, the cost, the first round was $500, so the second time will be around, there's 5 over there, there's 11 over there. So it'll be around $1,050, $1,100 to get those windows
Are there
done.
any other windows that should be done at the same time, just because now that we're moving around to more displays, is this worth evaluating? Just, we are a library, books are susceptible to UV damage. If there are any other areas, is it worthwhile evaluating and remediating it right now at one fell swoop?
So on every other level where materials are on shelves by windows, they are perpendicular to the windows, as opposed to upstairs they are parallel.
Okay.
So any other spot the cap ends are facing the window. So I don't believe at this time that there are any other spots that we have portions of the collection
I agree with
close
that.
enough to the window
Yeah.
would merit
Okay.
having the.
So getting this one done in addition to what we'd already done with the, did you say was it the south side that was completed or the north side?
It was the north side. that
North
was
side,
done.
got it, alright.
Mhm.
Wrote it down. So that's, I think that's a very logical expense for $1,000 to preserve the integrity of the collection.
Can you refresh my memory, what percentage of the light will still come in, did you say last time? Is
Uh,
it like
90.
90?
yes, I'm
Okay.
pretty sure. Yeah.
I just remember, because one of the things with the renovation, we
You
talked
wanted
about, we
light.
wanted all the natural light to come in, and now we're like, ooh, natural light, bad. So I was just curious.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. So it's like negligible, you don't
I
really
mean,
know.
yeah. Honestly, you can go up, check the windows. You wouldn't know
Yeah, you
Sure.
could
if you,
tell.
unless I told you that there's tint on those windows.
Yeah.
You like looked and saw there was film.
Okay,
You're at least when I'm walking through, my eyes don't register any difference.
okay.
Okay.
What is the like lifetime of the film?
Oh, that's a great question. They did give us a 5-year warranty on
Okay.
them. So I could look. I can't remember what the like expected lifespan of them
Okay.
is, but we have through 5 years if there's any bubbling or if there is any, unless like if there is any material like fading or
Okay.
issues with the stuff itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming they'll need to be replaced, they're not gonna last forever, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it would just be an easy removal and replacement, I'm
Mhm.
assuming as
Yep.
well, okay.
Yeah, that's,
Thanks.
that's
Good
a
question.
very good point.
Ooh, I had a good question.
Alright. So we'll find the lifespan information there as well, or you can provide that
Mm-hmm.
when you have it. Alright, anything else on the UV film? Great. Agenda item number 7, discuss light pole preventative measures.
Oh,
Bill, please enlighten us.
So basically, that pole that's nearest the book drops in the north lot did not have a cap on top of it.
Oh.
So our electrical company can fabricate a metal cap that they can put over the top so that squirrels cannot get in there and eat stuff.
Where'd the cap go?
These light poles are
Squirrels
they've
took
been around for a while. Perhaps there's a chance there was a cap there in the
Okay.
first place because the tree has gotten bigger and provided
Yeah.
the squirrels access.
oh,
It's right
There
next to
may
the tree.
the tree may not have been
Right.
that close to it when
mhm.
we had those poles installed.
Okay. If there is no cap, I know that there's like a wire pull box at the bottom with an access panel.
Mhm.
Is there anything that, have they already addressed what is accumulated inside from the squirrels? Because I'm sure it's more than just chewing wires and destroying it.
When we opened up the access panel in the bottom, there wasn't like detritus spewing out of there or anything.
Alright.
And I know in the
So
past.
they're just eating the wires,
Just
not
eating
I
making
think
nests.
Exactly.
as we learned 2 years ago, the mice will go up there and build nests.
Got it.
So that was what the issue was in the south lot 2 years ago, and that all was cleared out. I believe, as Vanessa said, the squirrels just like chewing wires, and that was all that was up there.
Okay.
What about some quotes?
So the quote I got for that also included our next topic.
Okay.
So are we cool with the
Yeah,
we
we
kind
can,
of melding
let's
this together?
move on.
So,
I was gonna
just
say,
a question about
yeah,
the-
exclusive question.
So they chew through it, so then are they replacing the wires, are they wrapping the stuff around
So
it to
that's-
make it taste ucky?
That's already been done. So yeah, they
We had it
Replace-
in one of our cars, that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Oh, no,
They
I'm
replaced-
very familiar with that. I
they
can-
replaced the wires, the electrical taped it all up so
Okay.
that it should
And
be.
put a new cap on.
There's a temporary one.
Temporary.
They part of the cost that the electrician gave me was for our next item
Okay.
and fabricating the new cap
Okay.
Together.
and putting that on.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Alright, so let's move on to agenda item number 8, then, and we can continue to discuss the remediation and expenses for 7 with 8, which is the electrical update, so, Will, would you?
Yes, so this is basically all of our exterior lighting starts and is controlled out in the west mechanical room. And since the building has had so many additions, it has become a Frankenstein's monster of different boxes and then sub panels. And We used to have an actual time, like literal physical time clock that turned the lights on and off, and then that got replaced with, and they slotted something new in there. So there's enough stuff now that has become this amalgam that the electrician is recommending that we get the whole thing retraced so that we know where all of the wires go into which light pole and how they are communicating with each other back and forth, and then consolidated into one panel so that when we do have issues in the future, instead of having to take 2 hours just to figure out is this one hot, is this one not, like does this blue go to this red, all that jazz, they will just know, or any electrician, not just them, like anyone who comes in will be aware of where everything is, what is live, what is not, and what we need to do moving forward. So the total cost for the cap and then for doing all that work was $6,500. And that would include several days of an electrician just coming in and tracing all the wiring and figuring out everything was, and then doing the physical labor of consolidating and getting everything nicely and neatly organized.
And this is the electrical panel just for the outside lights, right?
This
Or
is
is it for the whole building?
There's a few. It's not for the whole building. It's for a few other things. Because the panel that has the lights on it also is connected to the panel that like has the boiler and has.
Okay.
So there's a few other things in that West Mechanical room.
Okay.
That would be tied into that panel as well.
Okay.
Alright, is this
I
an
think
item that
that-
we need to make a recommendation for, or is this one we can?
No,
Or-
just as long as we put it on the agenda just in case you had questions about it,
Yeah.
and that, actually, this was, one of the FQC, like,
Oh, excellent.
last items that we said we were gonna check the box, cause we've already sunsetted that, but
Okay.
it's taken Will a little time to get quotes for this stuff, and they've had to come in and take a look and assess, like, and then provide the quote, so it's taken a month or two.
And thankfully, to Emily's question, that is the oldest part of the building.
Okay.
So any places where we have new panels are like right here, there's a panel in that closet, or like in the YS office, there's a panel.
Okay.
But the extensions from there are all in good enough, like organized, and you can understand what's going
Okay.
on. That is the area where there are
Old.
panels that,
No, I think that makes sense, especially with the issues with the outdoor lights and stuff.
Right.
I feel like it'll probably save money in the long run with electrician time.
And that's in a reason, I mean,
Yeah.
just from years of
Mhm.
dealing with electricians in this building, at the $6,000 or $5,000, that's reasonable
Yeah.
for the work they
Oh,
have to do to
Yeah.
trace all of these things
Yep.
and to consolidate.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's a lot of time, it ends up being a lot of time. Did
Uh-huh.
they, I apologize, did you say the total number of hours that they were allocating inside of that? Because it is mostly gonna be labor, correct?
yeah, I got a rough estimate. He said at least a couple days of just tracing everything down. And then probably another day of then like putting it all back together in a
Okay.
new spot.
Okay.
So I'm still gonna be receiving like a detailed proposal. But to get something in time for this meeting, he was able to just give me
That's,
a ballpark.
that's
Okay.
fine, I just,
Yeah.
that's commensurate with that amount of expense, so if they said, yeah, we'll do it in one day and label it in a half, I would be a little bit skeptical,
Yeah.
but the amount of time that they are indicating for probably multiple electricians, and that's the thing too, some of that trace work requires people on different
Both
ends in
ends,
different
yes.
places, so you can't just give one guy a pipe bender and tell him to go wild, so that makes sense.
Do you have an estimated timeline of when this would be?
No, I still need to get the full
Okay.
proposal from
And then
them.
go from there?
Yes.
So you'll update us maybe in 2 weeks? board?
Hopefully, yeah. I will get back to Art and have him sorry, that's the electrician guy.
Okay.
And tell him to
Okay.
give me something on it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thanks.
That's good, yes, thank you very much. Is
Do
there-
they have to like turn off power to the building to do that?
I don't believe so. I would have to check in with them on that.
But when we've had to do that, either with turning off power or turning off water, all those things, they'll come in at 7:30 and we'll get here at 7:30, it's not a problem. Can we just do that before we all?
Okay.
If that had to happen.
Yeah, we'll make sure we work around open times for that.
Very good. You did mention the FQC. Do we have any thoughts on, we talked about sunsetting the existing one and then gathering additional recommendations for a continuing UC.
A continuing,
Or a new
Facility
one,
plan,
a fresh one, right, facility, I just mean the things that will become an issue in the next 5 to 10 years that maybe weren't an issue or have all been fixed since.
yes, so CCS and admin are working on that
Okay.
for the foreseeable future, just like when we consulted with CCS on the roof, because he and with the cap, either replacing or repairing, he doesn't see a need to go forward with a complete replacement. And as part of that the next 10 years we look at,
Yes,
I'm thinking around the time we consolidate and push the new strategic plan, we would have something
got it,
around that same timeframe,
okay,
July, August.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we'll say July, August, eagerly anticipate that. Alright. Is there anything else that we need to discuss in relation to these? Item number 8.
Cool.
Wow, very efficient. Alright, last item is adjourned. May I have a motion and a second?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:36.